Hey guys, this is Smithy. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is a very special one. We are gonna do a build your own palette using Natasha Denona palettes. I am actually mixing and matching Natasha Denona My Dream palette, the retro palette, and I need a nude eyeshadow palette. But I just wanted to like mix and match my eyeshadow palettes to see what I create. And spoiler alert, this is the eyeshadow palette that I created. And you can see it's a mix of cool tones, multi-chromes, warm tones, everything mixed together. I'm going to create 3 looks. I'm going to create 1 look, this look that you're seeing on your screen. I'm also going to show 2 more looks that I filmed using this palette. So I'm going to walk you through the process of how I created this palette. So if you do have a bunch of Natasha Denona palettes lying around, the best thing is that how customizable it is. Everything has like a hole, so you can just plop that out and then replace it with other shadows, which is like my favorite thing to do. I feel like I get a new Natasha Denona palette whenever I do that. And you can go like a million ways by doing that. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I know that you guys know that I love that. So if you guys want to see how I achieved 3 different looks and created my perfect Natasha Denona palette, then please keep on watching. So these are the Natasha Denona palettes that I have. I want to create a color story that can give us more variety and it's not spread out everywhere. I'm traveling to Canada. I wanna curate everything and see if this can be like my everyday palette but glam palette, but also give me variety or not. As you can see, these shades from the Glam Iron Face palette, this is the darker version. I cannot pop the shades out of this palette, but I absolutely love the shades that are there already in it. I've kept this only as a reference so that I do not take similar shades as compared to this one anywhere else. So I'll just keep that as a reference, but let's see how we roll with the other shades of the palette. I love a few like purpley shades, brownie shades, everyday glam shades. So I'm just gonna pop up a few shades that I absolutely would want in my palette. So let's start off with that. I know from the My Dream palette, which is generally like my absolute favorite palette from Natasha Denona, I would love the shade Carpadium. I love Aspiration, but I feel like Aspiration and this shade, it's different. Aspiration is much more cooler. That's much warmer in tone. I love the shade Vision. And I would love to have Blackest Black. But we'll wait for Blackest Black towards the end of the video to see how we roll. Let me take the other shades out. So those are the 3 shades that I got from the My Dream palette. Also, I'm a big fan of mauves, you know that. So let's pop a few mauves from here. I absolutely love the shade Amara as well as Groove. I love the shade Andy too, which is more purple leaning. And that would come in very, very handy for this Vision shade. So let's do that. So those are the shades from the retro that I picked out. So we're already at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I definitely want the shade Muse. Would love to have Filigree. I want to see how different is this shade Carpadium from Wig. Not that. So I'll take Wit. So let's take Wit, Muse, and Filigree. I also love the shade Sheen. I actually love Delilah too, but I feel like Delilah or Jude might be very similar to Delilah. Let's take this Blackest Black. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, we have still 11. I want some cream to powder shades that can give me variety. So I'm thinking of Edgy, which would give me more of a purple look, but I also feel like this one would lean towards purple. I love the shade Nude Mauve or Nurture. I feel like I definitely need the shade Nurture. Let's take Nurture. I want to take the shade Babies. We'll see if things are very similar or not. How about we take Mia and Sheen, which is that wet formula. So that's Sheen. That's Mia. Let's take the shade Invention, just because I feel like that definitely gives a different tone to the palette. We have 16 shades right now. I don't know how are we gonna come out with a color story, but let's start and curate. This is definitely much more neutral, and so is this shade. Which one was this? Retro. So Jude. This one. That can be a beautiful neutral look. That's a stunning look too. Feels like all of this is gonna be so similar. We're already at 12. Looking at this, I definitely want the shade Carpe Diem. Even if I do not have the shade Wit, I would love to have it for sure. Okay, wait. Both these two looks, these two shades look very, very similar, but I promise it is not. I hope you can see the difference. Definitely was eyeing this shade because I feel like that will be amazing. This is the Carpe Diem shade. Babies or Sheen? Let's put Sheen and let's put Babies back. Now let me rearrange and see if it makes sense in any other way. I feel like this makes more sense. Let's put it in a palette. I'm just going to place this in the My Dream palette just because I feel like with a black background, you can see the shades more better. You guys let me know, how do you feel about it? I feel like these are all like great shades to play with and keeps it more neutral, and especially with the addition of this, I feel like this is gonna be amazing because the things that I'm missing for these like warmer tone shades are like the deep dark brown shades, this like beautiful, I feel like, let me swatch this and this. Oh, that's like pretty much exactly the same. Okay, we need to get rid of that. Let's take this out and put Babies. These are just like subtle shades, the Mia shade and the Sheen shade. I don't know how much I need those. Let's take Mia out and I'm gonna put the shade Whisper, which is a lighter tone gray shade. I feel like I want to somewhere incorporate the shade Edgy. Can be there. I'm going to take this away. I'm going to put Sheen there and I'm going to put Edgy here. Let's do that. Okay. So we'll put Edgy here and let's put Sheen here. I feel this is better. Just because if we want the inner corner to pop, we can use that. Even as a sheen, we can use that. Yeah, I feel like I'm happy with this right now. Let me see how different is these two. Yeah, it's different. One is purple, one is more deeper chocolatey brown. Yeah, I feel like I'm happy with this. Let's swatch this baby. The first row swatched for you guys. I forgot to press record. But as I can see, I see these two shades pretty similar. So I'm feeling that I should take this away. We'll come back to it. Let me swatch the rest of the palette. That's the palette swatched. The only thing that I'm iffy about is, so let's swap that. I'm going to replace that with Psychedelic from the Retro palette. So let's swatch Psychedelic. Pretty much like Mia, but just amped up a few notches. Obviously, I had staining from the other shadow because it was a cream to powder, but you get the gist. It is like a pink with a blue specks running throughout it. Now let's put this baby on our eyes. Okay, let's begin with the look together. I actually recorded 2 more looks. I'll get to that towards the end. It had to be scrapped, okay? So I'll share images and then I'll tell you how to go. So that's the palette. Let's begin. I'm going to start off with this shade, which is actually from the My Dream palette. Its shade is called Wit. It's more of like a peachy shade. I do not have any primer or anything. I was like, okay, let's at least record one video and then I can tell you what I use for the rest of the 2 looks, because then I'll be able to use all the looks. So I'm going to focus that Wit shade on the inner crease, and that's a beautiful peachy shade. If you want like any kind of warm tone looks, I feel like this in the background will automatically make like a good warm peachy, like a very neutrally kind of look. I really love that shade. Okay, next let's use this shade, and I know that this is from Retro palette. I'm not sure which shade actually. A little bit more of the warm tone shade. I think the shade is called Amara. I'm gonna take that, mainly like that, and melt it with that Wit shade. It's definitely more on the deeper side. I'm gonna just melt those together, blend the edges. I'm also going to take the same shade on the lower lash line too. I'm taking this on Refer number 1, my favorite brush from Refer, I would say. You can use it on your crease, on the outer corners. For halo eyes, it's perfect for inner and outer corners. It's so beautiful. Going back into that Wit shade and just melting everything together. Okay, I'm gonna take a smaller brush and I'm gonna take that on the lower lash line, the same Amara shade that we used in the outer corners. Just gonna focus it across halfway there. We're gonna deepen it out a tad bit more, but just using the same Wit and the Amara shade on the lower lash line. This is wit on the inner portion of the lower lash. Okay. Now I'm going to take a smaller brush with this shade, Jude, this cool tone shade. I'm just going to mix cool tones and warm tones in this look. Just because I want to use all the shades. And I feel like when I'm going to mix this Jude shade and then tap a little bit of that sheen shade on top, I'll get the brightness that I'm looking for, but also by making it a little bit more impactful. So I just took that sheen shade right on top, okay? This one. Okay, now I'm gonna take that same brush that we used the shade Amara with, and now I'm gonna go with this shade, which is Aspiration from My Dream palette. I'm gonna just plop that right there in the outer corners just to deepen it out a tad bit more. You don't need to do much. Just take that product, just stamp right there. Obviously, you can use the black also in the palette, but this is beautiful, just the way it is. I am wearing a brown top, so this look would really go well with that too. Just taking the crease brush, just blending the edges with no additional product. Now, I'm gonna take this shade Babies from My Dream palette. And taking that in the center of my eyelid. I actually love Natasha Denona shimmers with a brush, okay, rather than fingers. I don't know why did I go on with my fingers, but I love those shades with a brush. I can show it to you actually. It makes a huge difference. So I'm gonna take the same shade Babies. Do you see how impactful that is? It's a very rose goldy shade, and of course you can use that shade all across the eyelid. But there's one more shade left to use, so let's use that, and that is this shade, this orangey shade. This is also from My Dream palette. I'm gonna take that in the inner corners and then melting it with that baby shade. I think this shade is called Inspiration. Don't quote me on that, but it's wearable, but it's stunning. I love it. Just right there, okay? I'm gonna take a little bit of this shade from I Need a Nude palette, the Muse shade, just to amp up a little bit more of the sparkliness. And what I'm gonna do is just gaze it through on top of that. That's it. Nothing much. Just a little bit, just to give a little bit of sparkle and shine. Just right there. That's it. I'm going to finish up this eye with some liner and mascara. And that's my final look. I finished my look off with this House Labs blush. And this one is in the shade French Rosette. And for my lips, I use my Revlon liquid lipstick, Color Stay Limitless Matte liquid lipstick in the shade Upper Hand. So that's the combination that I have, and I absolutely love the way how this turned out. Okay, now let's talk about the rest of the two looks that I created. To my defense, I filmed it, but there was sunlight falling on like different parts of my face. So it was very hard to see anything that I was doing, okay? So let me walk you through what I did. For the first eye look, what I did is I took this shade, Andy, from the Retro palette all across the crease of my eyelid. And that was like my first transitioning shade. And I mixed it with a hint of Wit shade from My Dream palette. And then I deepened it out a tad bit from this shade, this purpley from a Retro palette. And then I deepened it out a hint from this shade, which is Aspiration from My Dream palette. So those were like the mattes that I built out in the crease. And then for the shimmer all across the eyelid, I used this shade Muse from I Need a Nude eyeshadow palette. And then for the inner corners, I took this shade, which was Sheen, also from I Need a Nude eyeshadow palette. And the look turned out to be absolutely beautiful. I loved the way how that turned out. And it was like, it lasted me through the entire day. It looked elegant, it looked neutral, but it had some kind of like an oomph to it, which I absolutely love. Now on to the third look. I started off with this shade, which is the shade Carpadium, and then I deepened it out with the shade Aspiration, and then this Blackest Black shade, all from from My Dream palette. I blended everything out with this Nurture shade, which is also from My Dream palette. And then for the lid shades, I took the shade, this one, Vision, also from My Dream palette. And then I took this shade, Psychedelic, from Retro palette, towards the inner portion of the eyelid. And that was the second look, which was more like purpley, shifty. It was deep. It was a little smoky, but it has that shiftiness that was happening through on the eye, which was amazing. And then came this look, which I love the way how warm tone it is, but still like keeping it like everyday but elegant at the same time. I loved making this palette. I love the combination of like warm tones and cool tones. I definitely can use this in a different way where I just put like, you know, the purpley tones in the crease, I deepen it out, and then I put this jute shade right in the over the entire of the eyelid, and that would be such a cool tone, like everyday look, which will also be absolutely amazing. So I love the way how million ways that you can use this palette, and I love Natasha Denona quality. That is absolutely of no news to anybody. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed all the 3 looks that I created for you guys. And if you are interested in buying anything from Natasha Denona, I do have a code SMITHYSONY to save you 15% off on their website. If you use it, I thank you very much. But yes, that was my palette that I created. I really hope that you guys are enjoying my build your own palette kind of a series. Do let me know if you do enjoy it. Please do give it a thumbs up so that I know that you are liking these videos. But that's all for today, guys. If you did like it, you know what to do. Do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And ring that notification bell so that you're notified every time that I post next. I generally upload 3 videos every single week, every Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 9 AM Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.